Warning, this video is intended for adult collectors. It contains plastic collectibles, questionable opinions, and that guy that really hates Armada Hotshot. This is not a test. This is a random review.
Before we begin, thank you very much to Look Mom, I'm on YouTube for joining the Patreon campaign. Oddly enough, my mother has decided to get into YouTubers at this point. She watches a lot of music reaction, which is hilarious to hear about afterwards. And she checks in once in a while, so that's going to be very interesting if she happens to randomly click this one. But, thank you for something weird to shout out. I do appreciate the support and the support of everyone who keeps the channel going and keeps the daily content coming. As long as you guys can support, I can keep grinding. We're in this together at this point just to see how far this can all go, right? So, with that in mind, we have a convoy ahead of us, a vehicle made for long travels, and this has certainly been a long travel of shout outs and overwhelming support. I appreciate everybody. So, we are looking at let's call it what it is. This is the failed attempt to create an Amazon Prime themed Optimus Prime. We don't know what exactly happened to that deal, but we know that was what it was originally leaked as, and that is why it is a Volvo, the same model as the actual vehicles that Amazon typically uses. Whatever reason, this is actually the second usage. When the deal fell through, they had to go with the Holiday Prime instead, and now we have a very basic, normal Optimus Prime instead. So let's see how this actually turned out, because this is kind of an oddball of a thing. And we're going to start by just getting the trailer out of the way, essentially. We'll put Prime aside and just kind of admit to ourselves that the trailer is pretty much the exact same one that came with Earthrise Optimus Prime. It's got the same stripe, the same Autobot symbol, same silver color. There are differences, however. They are somewhat more minor, but they're worth pointing out. Number one, you'll see that the trailer hitch to the original Prime has been covered over, and now we have a brand new hitch that's much farther back. That is to accommodate the different shape of the vehicle. We also see the storage still works, so we can go ahead and take Prime's gun off, and we'll set that one aside. And beyond that, the only difference is, there's a black door on the back for some reason. Well, we need to explain that. If we open it up, we'll find out that the drone inside is also done in black plastic now. It can still function just like the old one. It's got the arms on ball joints, so that works. All of this can be raised up, so you have a tower mode if you want to hold it vertically, just like the original. The only real, as far as I can tell, the drone still functions the same. It's got the same hinges. It's got the same ball joints and swivels that it did before. Can still hold 5mm ports, and you still have loads of options under here. You've got a peg for latching onto some things, but also all these ports down the side for storing a whole bunch of weaponry inside Prime, right? So all that good. And if you need to stand up a little bit more stable, you got a kickstand on the underside. So far as I can tell, apparently the sprue that they used to actually create the brand new trailer hitch just happened to be the one that was attached to the drone and the door. So those ended up getting cast in black as well to maintain the look of the black underside. That's the best I can come up with. And also it just separates the two out. Otherwise it would have been flat gray and it would have looked exactly like the Earthrise release. So I guess it gives you a little bit of variance so you can tell the two different trailers apart. But for the most part, it is just really odd to see a few of these parts randomly in black, especially the rear door. But that's the trailer. It's been about as boring as it's always been because it is just a gray box that really doesn't do a whole lot. Let's take a look at the Optimus Prime. That's where the real story is. It's a brand new mold. It's a completely new take on Optimus Prime. And we can see it's quite a different beast. It is a much more modern, semi-truck with a long nose and very aerodynamic with a lot of rounded shapes to it. Looks very different from your standard traditional Optimus Prime. If we go in close, we can see there are translucent pieces inserted for the headlights. The doors, the windows also translucent, though I actually believe those are inserts rather than actually painted over, because this is what the painted over looks like. It's a little bit darker it's a little bit darker, as you can tell. You can see the matrix hanging out the back. And here's what I love about this one. Look how nice the rear looks. If I can get it in focus. Look how nice the rear looks. It looks solid. It looks like the actual rear section of a, semi-truck. It looks the way it's supposed to, like the real world vehicle. You've even got like cables in the backside, the vent down there. Like, you've got actual details going here. Like, it looks correct. I love it. Because this feels so rare on Optimus Primes. It's usually just the legs just kind of scrunched up. This works well. And you also have like the double-sided tires on the rear. So excellent all around. Like, it looks like a very solid take on Optimus. Very solid truck. Even though the rear's got little headlight or tail lights painted on. It's got the mud flaps. Like, oh man, they actually tried. They tried, and I appreciate this. Still a bit of blue on the side, so you actually get the traditional look, but and then little details here. There's a little bit silver for those turn signals, a little bit yellow for the turn signals, a little bit of silver for, I guess, are the running lights. Yeah, and then the grill's been painted over as well. You can see the Volvo logo in the center. It's all just very well done. Very well done all the way around. I also like the fact that they painted the hubs, which gets a little bit rare sometimes. Yeah, like, as far as I can tell, this is one of the cleanest and nicest looking Optimus Prime vehicles I've seen in a long, long while. It's actually quite refreshing. And I think that has to do with the fact that it is a licensed and what was originally supposed to be an Amazon partnership. They wanted to make sure it looked extra nice so that it was approvable. So I really like this. I really like that it just kind of accidentally happened. Now, if I flip this over, you can see how different of a beast this Optimus Prime is. The head is closer to the rear than it is the cab section. There's the arms on the underside rather than encompassing the middle. You already know we're in for a different time. If I have one complaint about the vehicle mode, it's that it's a little bit rickety in the back because there's a few things that don't tab together properly. So you can see how much wiggle there is here. Because there's no real point where like everything locks in. So like it's very easy to just like start folding things down. Very easy to start getting things out of position. So like, especially if you're like, like a kid moving it along, is liable to start uncoupling things as they pick it up and play with it. But you know what? On the ground, it's okay. So we'll leave it at that. I guess you're not gonna roll it in your hands. So what else am I expecting? All right. So super nice looking truck mode. Super nice. How does it transform? Because this is not a traditional Optimus Prime. What else is there to do? All right. So for starters, the sides have to come out like so. You'll excuse me, I've only transformed this a few times, so I will try to remember how to do this smoothly. Alright, these pieces in front of the rear wheels have to get folded up. Now I'll get those out of the way. Let's see. If you want if we're gonna go into transformation schemes, then yeah, I gotta get as much of this broken up as possible. Can't quite reach that so far. Let's get the arms out of the way. How about that? I'm gonna fold them up at the elbow. Swing them out like so. It gets a lot of this clear. I'm going to leave those folded in just like that, just to keep them out of the way. You can see mine really wanted to open the gap in the centerpiece. I don't necessarily know if that is just mine not having together or if I have something offset. Either way, something to keep alert for if you get your, for yours. But as long as that's done, I guess I can get this folded down and get that ready, because that's where his chest is, the back side. Like I said, it's a very different beast of an Optimus. All right, so let's get the legs unfolded, and this one's going to be a little bit different than usual. Oh, everything about this toy is different than usual, but you'll get what I mean. So I'm going to split the legs like so, keep them at 45-degree angles, and these blue pieces are going to fold out. And as we unfold one piece, that will let us reach the next piece that has to get unfolded. So, for instance, that piece has to get unclipped like so. Both sides. Make sure it rotates all the way out. You gotta get plenty of clearance for those legs. With that done, now you can completely rotate the legs forward and double hinge them out to fully extend them. And then we got to go on the other side and get all of this put together. For starters, put his crotch in its correct position and then adjust the hips so all that looks okay. Never mind, you have to adjust Optimus Prime's crotch. You just do. Don't worry about it. All right, so going to get the feet folded out like so. Feet will fold out the toes as well as the heel spurs. Do it again on this side. Come on inside the big leg and fold the whole thing out like that. Flip out, flip out. There we go. Now, for the kibble itself, starters, I'm going to rotate this and rotate it in like so. That's going to form, now that we left this out, that's going to form a kneecap. And if you have everything in the right spot, that is going to be, you're going to be able to clip that in like so. Make sure that little tab goes into the groove that's on the it's just below the grill. Do that again on this side to create the knee pad over there. Make sure it all clicks together like that. Now for the kibble on the side. Kibble's on a double hinge, so you make sure that's going to fold up like so, and then, yes, I got it out of order. There we go. There we go. All right. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I'm sure someone rushed to the comments to mention that. Double hinge all the way into there. Clip like so. That's going to be the legs and their completed transformation. When that's done, just make sure like this is out of the way, because if it's left folded down, it is going to kind of interfere with some poses. All right. Let's get the torso finished up here. So we can go ahead and rotate the arms down like that. Now, start breaking this up. At the top side, you're going to unfold that panel that's going to unsnap from the back of the head. Rotate all of this down. This is going to all double hinge the rear section. It's going to fold into itself like so. Just going to make sure all that closes and clips in place. To give it like a nice tight squeeze to make sure it stays in. And then back over to the front. Close up the midsection like that. Rotate the head around, and then nothing left to do except get the hands unfolded like so. Hands are on ball joints for this purpose. Not a hard thing to do. Everything's nice and smooth. And that's going to be our transformation. Admittedly, maybe a little bit clunky on my end, but when you get used to it, it's a rather smooth process and actually delivers a really tight response of Optimus Prime. It's actually really, really nice. Let me get the adjustment in here so you can see the full glory that is the VNR Optimus Prime. I've got a new tripod on the way, I swear. But no, as you can see, it's a very different looking Prime, even though it definitely looks familiar. You've got a lot of the traditional trappings of Optimus Prime, a lot of the traditional shapes, but there's things missing, and it seems a little weird and off. You know, there's no smokestacks on his shoulders. He's a little bit long-legged. It's interesting. It's familiar, but it's a little off. It's like seeing like your best friend in a different color shirt than he normally wears, and it's like feels strange. I mean, the familiarity is still there. Still signature Optimus Prime. It's a fantastic head sculpt. You know, they really can't get Optimus Prime's head wrong anymore. I feel like they've done it so many times, it's just like inexcusable they got it wrong at this point. Just looking fantastic. As long as we're in close-up, we can go ahead and look at other details like the matrix inside the chest. Always a good touch. The chest door does open this way rather than the traditional like from the inside. And yes, the matrix is removable just like most of them have been. You've got a 5mm port on the back if you want to stick it to anything else. Otherwise, and it doesn't have one to stick into the chest. It just kind of frictions all the way around it. So nice and tight. Nice and tight. All right. Beyond that, we've got the traditional designs, the yellow on the hips, as well as the arrows on the forearms. It's the legs that look the most different, because of course we've got the traditional leg colors and layout, but obviously there's big trucks on the back of them. which is a little bit different. A lot of people call for this one to become Hero Optimus Prime from Generation 2, which granted, we're in a G2 resurgence right now, so that's actually not unfeasible, but I don't quite think it would work unless you had to reorganize a lot of things on the toy. The hips would have to be rotated around, you'd have to figure out something new with the knees because this isn't going to work for those. I mean, it's possible. Hasbro has retooled crazier. We'll see though. I feel like if that was the intention, it would have been like that from the beginning rather than trying to go with the traditional Optimus Prime silhouette. And speaking of that silhouette, it is definitely different. From the front, it's absolutely Prime. From the back, you got a lot of unfamiliarity. The wheels take you up a backpack. That's a little bit different. I'm expecting like double axle Zukas to pop out at any moment. And yeah, of course, the rear of the front end of the truck being the back of the legs. It's got like a big Mega Man boot quality to him, which, I don't mind personally. So yeah, aside from just being long-legged, I mean, it feels like a nice-looking Optimus Prime to me. Fairly clean for what it is, and just different. It's familiar and different. It's weird. It is weird. So we know all the details. Whenever the transformation, I think all we need to really do is talk articulation. And guess what? It's perfect. It's perfectly fine. Ball joint in the head does have up and down range to move all the way around. You have universal shoulder joints. Always like to see those. Bicep rotation works fine. Elbows are a 90-degree. Wrists are ball jointed, but in this mode, you really only get a swivel out of them, which is still okay. Waist is 360 degrees. Full range in the hips with universal joints. Thigh rotation works nice. 90 degrees at the knee. Ankle tilts all around. So you get all the standard articulation you expect, and you get a pretty nice Optimus Prime out of the deal. If you want to armor him up, he does offer some 5mm ports beyond this. You can see him on the top of his shoulders, which is an interesting spot for them. So shoulder-mounted weaponry is a thing on this one. You've got the hitch in the back that is still accessible. You've got these on the back of the legs, which I'm not sure if you're going to be able to use, but hey, good luck. You got ones on the underside of the arms, as well as in his hands, obviously, and then you've got them on the underside of the feet. There's a lot here. Like, if this was like a Junkion style figure, or if you just want to start piling on weaponizers and Junkions, you got it made here. You really do. Now, if you want to armor him up with just what he comes with, well, for starters, there is the shield that pops out of the rear trailer. And, it's basically the same shield. So no big surprises there. I don't have a side spot to mount it though, which is a little bit awkward. So it just kind of has to go in his hand, which is not the smoothest of shields, but we'll work with it. And then of course there is his rifle, which I believe is just straight up lifted from the Earthrise mold. It folds out like so into its kind of hand cannon looking thing. It doesn't really have any usage for like folding over unless you want to use it to store it on his back. But beyond that, the fold over is just so it has the sake of transformation, I think, at this point. But yeah, if I can hold on to everything without flying, yeah, we can actually just give him all of his weaponry at once. And that basically shows you everything that you can do with the toy. So that, my friends, is the failed Amazon Optimus Prime. But, as the Volvo Optimus Prime now, it's an interesting beast. You're still clocking in at the original $55 price point that the Earthrise figure cost. But it's a more interesting experience, I feel. Since it's such a different design style for Optimus Prime, it's a different but familiar look. Yes. And yeah, just overall, I kept hearing that the Holiday Prime was really good, and guess what? Yeah, when you repaint it into G1 colors, it's still really good. So yeah, I would recommend it. If you want an Optimus Prime that feels and plays differently than the ones that we've been getting churned out year after year lately, this one definitely plays differently. And if you're waiting for the Hero repaint, don't hold your breath. It wouldn't surprise me, but it might take a bit. But that's the opinion. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Luffy's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.